Gentlemen, delegates, and special guests, I'm very honored today to provide an update on the work of the SUMA Board of Directors. As the voice of urban governments, SUMA is focused on promoting, protecting, and defending the interests of our members. The Board of Directors takes this very seriously and works extremely hard on your behalf to ensure our urban voice is heard. As Saskatchewan continues to grow, and to experience unprecedented growth, urban governments find themselves playing an increasingly significant role. Our communities are witnessing record development in residential and commercial spheres, growing populations, increasing demands for services that we provide. Every village, every town, every city are all part of urban Saskatchewan. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to tell you today that urban Saskatchewan is a great place to represent. Today, like never before, our urban centers are growing. We have villages becoming towns. Let's take this opportunity to congratulate, and please join with me in congratulating the newly minted towns of Hepburn and Pence. Please, congratulations. We also have towns becoming cities. Congratulations to the new City of Warman and the city status confirmation for the cities of Martensville and Meadow Lake. Please. Growth is happening throughout Saskatchewan. In our villages, our towns, our cities, here are a few facts. 75% of Saskatchewan GDP is generated in urban Saskatchewan. 37,100 net jobs have been created in Saskatchewan since 2007, and more than 80% of those have been created in your villages, towns, and cities. 82% of all Saskatchewan residents live in an urban center. More than 95% of all new immigrants to Saskatchewan will move to our urban centers. We know 2012 was a year of growth in our communities. It was also a year of change with local elections. Congratulations to those of you who were re-elected, and welcome to those of you who were elected for the first time. And let us offer our thanks and best wishes to those who have left municipal service through the elections of this past year. Please join with me in applauding new members and old members and those that have moved on to other interests. For SUMA, 2012 was a very busy year, a year full of change. Today, more than ever, SUMA is focused on delivering on the needs, interests, and priorities of you, our members. SUMA is well positioned as a leader on issues of importance to urban communities in Saskatchewan. Over the course of the next few days, you'll have the opportunity to hear more about the successes of SUMA and to help shape the priorities of our association in 2013. The list of accomplishments for 2012 is extensive. Here are some highlights. We administered another year of funding to support urban recycling programs. SUMA secured influence over the development of the multi-material recycling program in order to protect your needs. Our group benefits and insurance department transitioned to a brand new electronic management system, which will ensure we can keep delivering top quality service in this area. We delivered a successful media campaign in the summer to thank the provincial government for its investment in your communities through the revenue sharing program. SUMA Assure, the reciprocal insurance program started by SUMA members, now has, the notes say 157, but yesterday I was told it's 159 and growing. At this convention, those subscribers are getting a surplus payback totaling $500,000. Let us congratulate the board and staff on an outstanding job. SUMA continued to provide leadership on the topic of asset management planning, ensuring that Saskatchewan's urban governments are leading the way nationally in the exploration of this important topic for infrastructure renewal. SUMA Advantage, our group purchasing program, continues to perform at exceptional levels, and SUMA remains committed to exploring new opportunities for the bulk purchasing of services, goods, and even electricity for the benefit of our members. SUMA provided elected officials handbook magazines to every mayor and councillor in the province, and this magazine provides you with valuable information to help you be successful in your role as an elected official. We established partnerships with the Saskatchewan Parks and Recreation Association, with the Urban Municipal Administrators Association, and with Communities of Tomorrow. And in this past year, SUMA engaged in over 60 different consultations with the provincial government. Remember, these are just a few of the highlights, so I'm sure you'll agree that 2012 was a busy and productive year. The way 2013 is shaping up, I think we can safely predict it will be just as busy. In 2012, SUMA engaged directly with the provincial government around the idea of continuing this record-setting growth we're seeing in our province. As major engines of growth, our villages, towns, and cities are really on the front lines of this challenge. So when Premier Wall released his government's plan for growth this fall, SUMA was ready with a detailed response that highlighted key priority areas for growth in urban communities. First, we need a secure funding environment that can meet the needs of growth, and this includes addressing the revenue sharing imbalance, building a sustainable and predictable infrastructure investment, exploring new revenue options for communities, and looking at ways to get private investment in urban infrastructure. Second, we need to build a legislative and regulatory environment that promotes local autonomy and growth. To achieve this, we need to review current legislation and identify ways to streamline and to enhance autonomy and opportunities for growth. For instance, we need to address regulations that place arbitrary limits on your long-term debt and the requirement for towns and villages to have to ask permission to change your water rates. And the third priority is promoting and supporting the development of local and regional capacity. We know that with growth comes the challenge of providing professional planning service, engineering, legal, and many other services. Very few of SUMA's members have all of these professional services available through their staff or on call. We need to work together as municipalities, and we need the province's help to do this, to share resources and to build networks of support throughout our regions. In short, the SUMA submission made this point. Growth is happening throughout Saskatchewan, and in particular in our villages, towns, and cities. If that growth is going to be sustained, we must make the right investments today to build the urban centers we need tomorrow. Therefore, on your behalf, in 2013, we will continue to focus on developing a long-term, sustainable, and predictable infrastructure program that includes sufficient funding from both the federal and provincial governments, working with you and with the province to enhance our local and regional capacity, proposing options for streamlining regulations to make the rules we live by simpler, more reasonable, and less expensive to implement, and ensuring that our members receive an equitable share of the provincial revenue sharing program. At this time, I would like to take a moment to talk about the Municipal Operating Grant Program, also known as revenue sharing. Many of you will recall that in 2009, in the provincial budget, the Government of Saskatchewan implemented this historic revenue sharing program with local governments funded by the provincial sales tax. This access to a long-term, predictable, and unconditional operating grant was very welcome news. Initially called the Municipal Operating Grant, it was designed to fund the provincial interest in municipal operations such as economic development, recreation, transportation, and community development. In the first year, the government shared $167 million, or 90% of 1 point of the PST. In 2012, the program allocated a full 100% of 1 point, and the fund grew to $237.4 million. Urban governments are extremely grateful for this program and expressed our appreciation this past summer through the Partners in Building Our Saskatchewan campaign. This public presentation highlighted the investment the government is making in our cities, towns, and villages and rural Saskatchewan, and spoke to the healthy collaborative relationship urban governments have with the province of Saskatchewan. When the program was initiated, the government built into regulation the requirement for a review of the program's funding allocation following each federal census. This review was established to ensure a fair distribution of the available funds. In 2011, an administrative review began with representatives from SUMA, from SARM, from the City Mayor's Caucus, from the Urban Municipal Administrators Association, the Rural Municipal Administrators Association, the New North, and Ministry of Government Relations. The review process was halted last September, and the ministry directed us, SUMA and SARM, to work towards a solution that was agreeable to both parties. After consulting with the urban sectors, SUMA took the position that population growth factors clearly indicate urban governments require a larger share of the revenue sharing while still protecting northern communities from any loss. The rationale being that growth in the province is occurring in urban centers. 82% of the population lives within our cities, towns, and villages, and urban governments provide the services and standards of life that attract people and business. Our growing province is placing increasing demands on urban services, and this should be reflected in the allocation of revenue-sharing funds. SUMA examined options based on facts and statistics that would support our proposals, as well as being open to understanding the issues and perspectives that the rural sector is facing. After analyzing several options, SUMA formulated a final proposal to SARM. This option protected the current distribution amount within the 4 pools, but allocated any future growth on a per capita distribution. SUMA has called this the growth allocation model. The Board of Directors feels this option will respond effectively to future growth and ensures every sector continues to receive their current funding level with increases based on per capita population growth. This proposal was not accepted by SARM as a viable option, and this left the process at a standstill. Following communications with Minister Ryder, both SUMA and SARM were invited to make presentations on their respective positions. SUMA presented the growth allocation model as a sound, fact-based option that benefits the province, urban, and rural sectors. We remain committed to this position and are confident the Minister will give fair consideration to the benefits of our proposal. Although we have respectfully disagreed on this issue, SUMA continues to enjoy an effective working relationship with SARM. Recently, both associations have collaborated on a number of initiatives, including the Municipal Capacity Development Program Intermunicipal Conference, Tangible Capital Asset Reporting Implementation, enhancing the Saskatchewan Municipal Awards, and the signing of a mutually acceptable agreement on how local governments will move forward on the multi-material recycling program. And we will continue to look for ways our 2 associations can work together for the benefit of Saskatchewan residents. In addition to the work SUMA has been doing on revenue sharing, we've also focused our energies on realigning our priorities with the province's growth agenda. SUMA understands that if we want to build this province, we need to work together in partnership with all parts of this province. On that front, we continue to work on developing the long-term infrastructure program that will be predictable and responsive to the needs of our communities. Even though the government has been clear that any provincial program implementation would need to wait until the federal government releases details of their plan, SUMA believes it is important to continue to discuss and plan for the eventual implementation. The committee that is tasked with collecting the information needed to design a long-term program is nearing completion of their final report. That report will establish a model that will determine the existing and future infrastructure deficit in this province. This information will be used to build the foundation for a potential infrastructure program in the future. Knowing that the infrastructure program was still far from being implemented, SUMA called upon our provincial government in the 2012 budget to implement an interim program to address current needs. Unfortunately, that request was not granted. On the federal side, we participated in the Federal Infrastructure Roundtable and presented to the Minister of State for Transportation the needs of Saskatchewan's urban governments. Alongside FCM, and with strong support for FCM, we continue to advocate for a federal program and monitor information the federal government releases about their potential plan. But we do not expect funding from the government of Saskatchewan, the government of Canada, until the spring of 2014. SUMA has enjoyed an outstanding year in 2012, and we aim to achieve even more for you, our members, in 2013. Our success is only possible because of your contributions and your engagement. So please make sure to take the time during this convention and throughout the year to let us know how things are going back home in your community. We want to know about your local successes, your challenges. Your stories are the most powerful examples we have of why urban Saskatchewan is the place to be and why we must continue to work together to secure the continued growth we all desire for our province. In closing, I want to say that I am new to the SUMA board, having only been elected to the position of Vice President in December. I already can see the board members and the staff at SUMA are very dedicated, hardworking, and passionate about the issues affecting urban governments. I'm proud to be a member of this association. I'm excited about the opportunities that exist for Saskatchewan, for our cities, our towns, and villages during this time of growth and prosperity. Thank you for your attention this morning, and enjoy this great convention. Thank you.